Hi guys, this is KomodoDave from the ADOS forums. I'm here to show you another glitch. This is something I like to call the ghost grapple. So I'm just spawning in a couple of icebreakers here. Okay, now before I show you the glitch, just let's look at what happens when you destroy a vehicle. Okay, so I'm going to throw a grenade by this icebreaker over here. And it's exploded, it's now in smithereens. The flames die out momentarily. And then you're left with this very solid destruction model which will fade away and then disappear from the game. So you see it's faded away and now it's gone. Okay. Now it turns out that you can actually grapple this destruction model to force it to stay in the game. So this time I'm going to throw a grenade again at this icebreaker. Again it's exploded. Again the flames die away, but this time when it starts fading away I'm going to grapple it. So I'll just wait for it to start fading. Okay, so I've now grappled the destruction model, or the ghost as I like to call it, and in fact it's remained in the game, and you can see that it's partially visible, and as soon as I let go of the grapple you'll see it disappears. Okay, so this time I'm going to spawn in a monster truck just to add some variety.
How can I help you? Trying not to break it now? Hell, who am I trying to fool?
And I'm going to use 4 triggered explosives to blow this up. Okay, so this will explode. Now I showed you that when I attach the grapple to the ghost model then it will stay in the game. In fact, if I then tether it to anything else in the game it will remain for as long as that tether remains, and as soon as I release the tether the ghost model will disappear. Now I'm actually this time going to attach to the ghost model here and then attach it to one of the sort of blown off bits, so in this case one of the large tyres. And you can see that you can actually in this way tether it to itself, and the whole sort of destruction model stays in the game, so it's still very solid, this sort of floating in mid-air ghost model, and I can still, you know, jump on it and do whatever I like. And as I say, if I release the tether now, you'll see it immediately disappears. So what does this work with? Well, it works with all vehicles, it works with palm trees, and it works with the large sand-coloured rocks which you can dislodge with an explosion. So I didn't actually realise until a few weeks ago, but there are lots of rocks in Panau that you can actually blow up. So not these ones, any moss ones don't work, but there are sort of boulder-like sandy-coloured ones which stick very prominently out of the ground, and if you throw a grenade or a triggered explosive by them, then they become dislodged and start rolling down the hill, for example. And they will then do this same fading away, and for palm trees it's identical, they will also fade away and then disappear. If I now spawn in another vehicle again, this time let's go for a jet fighter. And again I'm going to blow it up using some triggered explosives. One more. There we go. Okay. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this vehicle to one of the plant surfing trees. Now if you haven't watched my plant surfing video then you should go and watch it to learn what the 2 types of tree that work with that are. So this is one of them, it's the very thin red flower tree. and you'll see that I've now tethered one of those plant surfing trees to the ghost model. Now what happens if I blow up the plant surfing tree, you'll see that actually, just as happens with plant surfing, you end up with this sort of remnant grapple, but in fact the ghosted model still believes that it's grappled to something, so it stays in the game, and yet I have my grapple accessible, so I can fire my grapple elsewhere, I can zip wherever I want, and this ghost model is still forced to stay in the game. So this is one way to get a semi-permanent ghosted model in the game. Okay, now I'll show you a fun use example in a minute, but just to sort of give you all the details, we're going to watch this remnant tether and just see what happens. Okay, so I said semi-permanent for a reason. In fact, this ghost model doesn't stay in game forever now. It will stay for sort of about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And what happens is this remnant tether will start oscillating, and it starts vibrating more and more, and eventually will become very violent, and then the ghost model will disappear. So let's just watch this. It doesn't appear as though it's moving much right now, but we'll see in a minute it will start vibrating. So it's actually beginning now. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but I can see it. So it's starting to vibrate more and more now. And you'll see that it became sort of very extreme, and then the ghost model has disappeared. So although it gives you a semi-permanent effect, it's not a permanent effect, unfortunately, that. In fact, when that vibration begins, at any point before the ghost model disappears, you can attach another grapple and, say, firmly tether it to some object, and it will be forced to remain in the game. Now, of course, a much easier way to keep the object in the game is to simply attach it to some very small movable object. So, for example, you could knock a car door off, or use some small bit of scenery which is mobile, not an explosive barrel perhaps, but something else which isn't destructible, say this bollard here. You can attach that to the ghosted model, and as long as you leave the tether intact, then the ghost model will stay in the game. So what are the fun uses of this? Well, think of some yourselves. One that I found is to explode a boulder and let it sort of fade away almost completely, and then attach it to a helicopter, and then you can just fly around with this invisible boulder attached to your helicopter, smashing through things, which looks quite entertaining. So if I show you a boulder, hopefully this is one of the destructible boulders, so I'm going to throw a grenade by this boulder, and it's been loosened, and just as with the vehicles, this will begin to fade away and I can then tether it, but I'm going to time it so that it becomes very, very invisible. So you can see now it's almost completely invisible. And if I'd spawned a helicopter now, I could attach this to the helicopter and fly around with it, hooked on, and it would remain for as long as the tether remained. Likewise, I could attach it to a vehicle and drag it behind me, and if you're very, very careful with the timing, you can make this be completely invisible. In fact, if I come around this side of it where it's less well lit, you can see that you can barely see it at all, but it's still there. I can still shoot it and it's very much solid. So, I'll be interested to see what you guys come up with this. This has been the Ghost Grapple by KomodoDave. Have fun!